Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, from wherever you're joining us from. So this is another awesome session where we'll be talking about the secret of exceptional leadership in today's world. And so for the first couple of minutes, we're just going to be having free discussion, just some of the interesting things that happened to you in the course of the week. So I will go first. So there's this acquaintance of mine that I was congratulating on some of the newly achieved feats, and I sent a message, congratulations. And she happens to be on my LinkedIn anyway. And the individual replied and said, "Thank you, ma." Initially, I didn't pay any attention to that. I was just like, might be some honest mistake. But after a while, I just don't know what brought that same scene back to my mind. I just keep replaying it. And I went back to the comment section and I noticed that she replied other acquaintance accurately. And I checked their profile, I checked my profile, and I noticed those people did something that I didn't do. So one of the things I noticed was that they explicitly introduced themselves. So what I mean by explicit introduction is they had this pronoun to their name tag. So there's he, him, she, her, they, them. So I didn't had he, him. So I think maybe because I didn't properly introduce or categorize myself, maybe that's why she responded as smart. So immediately I went back to my profile and I added he, him. So as to be explicit enough to let her know that, okay, the person you're talking to is a he, not a she, her, or they, them. So that's just one of the things that I got to learn because of the week, that even when you are trying to introduce yourself, especially in this part of the world, you have to be explicit enough so people don't misclassify or misidentify you. So that just what some of the interesting things that happened to me in the course of the week. So anybody want to share any interesting experience they had in the course of the week?
I mean,
I can see there are some new individuals joining us. So we're just at this point, we're just gisting on maybe sharing some of the interesting things that happened to you in the course of the week. I need someone to beat down my own experience. Or do you want me to start calling names?
Yeah, I think it works better. Most times nobody wants to do what everybody should do.
Yeah. So I can see there is Minasu. Okay, sorry if I didn't pronounce that name correct. Okay, I see some emoji from John Bull. So I think John Bull is in the group. So John Bull, do you want to tell us what some of the interesting things that happened to you in the course of the week?
All right. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on the location you are.
Exactly.
So for me, I think this week has been so serious, right? Trying to navigate between a lot of things. I'm actually learning from my mentor, my daddy, Dr. Dansu. I'm learning from him how to navigate between a lot of things, even without any stress. I still have like a long rest. So the week has been like between work, trying to do research and trying to, impart life at the same time. So yeah. Okay, this week, I was able to do one or two like events to also learn from people, to just have this social gathering. So yeah, that was how the week was for me.
I guess your week was making a lot of having a lot of learning and making a lot of cash, right? Because if you are doing an event,
by the grace of God, yeah.
Okay, so maybe you'll be hosting us some of these days with some of those cash.
What to say? I didn't get that.
I said, will you be hosting us with some of those events cash that you've made?
Okay, yeah. When the time comes, I'll let you know.
Okay, then.
By the way, since you have decided to cast me, right? By the way,
Okay.
likely reading the valedictory speech in Futa next convocation.
Whoa, that's
Yeah.
so great. Oh, that's interesting. I think
some of us graduated with first class lower. This one's graduated. They don't talk about 4 points something. They talk about 9 watts. It's not 4 points anything. It's 9 watts. Like, is it 9?
wow.
9? Now their level will be that.
That's first class on another level.
Exactly. That's first class upper.
This will be the first time I'll be hearing about first class upper and first class lower. Now, doctor, they tell me.
There's always classification. There's always classification. So you don't hear them now. So you see, say there is class now.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Oh, congratulations in advance. That's great.
Thanks,
That's great news.
a lot. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, so who want to beat John Bull's event in the course of the week? I can see Asu Sejoro Steven. Sorry if I didn't pronounce the name correctly. So just tell us some of the interesting things that happened to you in the course of the week. Don't feel shy.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah, we can hear you. Though a little bit faint, but yeah, we can still hear you. Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, good evening, sir. I'm going to transit.
Okay, you have transit. Okay. Yeah, we can let you pass for now.
Hello, sir.
Okay, can you talk at the moment?
Better now?
Yeah, it's better. It's better.
Okay, yeah. Good evening,
Evening, morning,
sir.
afternoon.
Good day, everyone. I'm currently on transit. I'm currently doing my industrial training in
okay.
Lagos. So I'm just trying to catch up for the weekend. Like, I'm trying to go back home to Badagry to eat some food because I really miss home actually. But it has been nice for me. I'm trying to do my IT, which for civil engineering. So trying to learn the industry and see how it goes aside the academics we do from school. So it has been nice for me this week actually.
Yeah, I think it's a very good one, trying to balance both the theoretical knowledge you have in class and practical experience. It's kind of bring balance to learning. Yeah, I think it's a great one. That's a very good week experience. So yeah. I think I will let Dr. Dansu also tell us some of the interesting things that happened to him. I know he has a lot of interesting things anyway. There's always stuff for researchers and professors. So maybe one of his students or someone did something funny this week. So Professor Dansu, do you want to share any interesting gist?
Well, I think the thing is, it felt like I took a short trip last weekend, and I'm surprised that I'm taking a whole week to recover. I mean, that's like each day I got to school, I had to literally pass out, just sleep off for some time before getting up to duty. So I was wondering, what if it was a longer trip?
Yeah.
I
So
don't know.
there are some of those short trips that are
Mhm.
very stressful compared to long trips. So,
Imagine.
so
I don't know if it's jet lag or whatever I can call that.
yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
So it's nice hearing that several individuals here has experienced some interesting moments in the course of the week, and it's that's life for us.
Aren't all done yet. My namesake is still there. He has so many interesting things going on all over the place.
Okay, so, pardon me for that. I didn't. Okay, let me just bring.
Okay, do you want to bother our special guest?
Yes, I was thinking maybe just trying to gear up, trying to get some of these stuff ready. So I didn't want to bother him for it. But since my boss has asked me to bring you on board, so Professor Emmanuel Awosu.
Professor. Professor.
Don't worry, we've seen what is the nearest future. Right? You may not see it yet,
No,
we've already moved into that realm.
After this PhD, I'm going back to the industry.
Don't worry, you can still be in the industry. In fact, we need more people with industry experience to be able to transfer knowledge accurately, not just only theoretical. So it doesn't really matter if you're in the industry. At some point in time, you still want to impact knowledge, just like what we are doing on this forum.
They can be professor of the practice, like they do in America. Professor of the practice.
Exactly. So I know the money is in the industry. I know the money is in the industry. So we want to go to the industry, but you still have I think you still hold your generation that knowledge impartation. So whichever way you find yourself in the industry, you do that. So do you want to tell us some of the interesting things that happened to you in the course of the week?
For me, I think I traveled on Wednesday, came back yesterday, Friday. I went for a research collaboration with the company I'm working with. They have another subsidiary company that is also related to my research. So I was there over the course of this week. And when I came back, I was very tired. I can relate to Professor Dansu's story. This small trip.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot. It takes a lot from that small hiccup, that small break. It's a lot. Seriously. Yeah. That's it for me.
I can understand. So we're probably going to go into the session right now, but before we do that, I just want to take the next couple of minutes before I bring President Dansu just to give us a motivational talk. I just want us to do a brief introduction of ourselves, a quick one. I don't want us to eat into our time. So I'm going to go first, then just follow suit. So my name is Gbenga Fakanye. I'm joining from Canada, Manitoba. I'm a data strategist by profession. I'm also a student. I'm a husband of a woman. And I identify as a EM. So in that order, I'm just going to start from my left screen here. So Professor Dansu, can you go next?
Okay, I'm Emmanuel Dansu. I'm a researcher. I'm a teacher. I'm an author. What else? Yeah, I'm the husband of one wife, following Gbenga.
Okay.
That him thing, I'll get used to
it. Yeah. That him is still causing some form of confusion. Even in my office, when we talk about our minister, our health minister, we happen to be a they them, and we want to address some because she by gender, or is it by sex now? Because I think they've missed both.
Yeah, those are issues to like.
Yeah. So by gender, it should be she. So when we want to identify her now, we go like she, and then we quickly correct ourselves that they, because she identifies herself as they them, which is not she. So it's still a little bit of something, but we still have to get used to it. Okay. So I move on to Emmanuel Awosu. Just a brief introduction.
Yes. My name is Emmanuel. I'm also a husband to one wife. I'm in Sendai, Japan. I'm a doctoral candidate here in Japan. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. So Asu Sejuro, I think he's gone. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next person. Adedamola. You want to introduce yourself?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adedamola Israel. I'm a co-member joining from Lokoja, Kogi State, Nigeria. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I once served at Lokoja Dekina when I was a co-member too. I served at Dekina local government. So nice to hear you. John Bull, do you want to introduce yourself, a short one?
Yeah. Okay. My name is Jumbu Vitowanu. Okay. So I'm a developer, a backend developer, and what again? I think I'm calling from. I'm joining from Lagos. Yeah. So.
Are you married?
Are you married? Are you married?
No, I'm single. You know.
Okay.
I think the market way.
Okay, you're single and you identify as the EM, I guess.
And I don't get that one.
I don't change that.
You
don't get that.
Okay. Moving on to the next person, Moses. You want to introduce yourself, please? Moses, are you there? I think he's trying to
Yeah, I
get
had
it.
to mute because of the background noise. I think we can move on.
Yeah. Okay. So welcome everybody once again to another awesome time. So I'm going to be calling on Professor Dancy just to give us a charge up for the next couple of minutes. So Professor Dancy, you have the floor.
Yeah, I think I don't have so much to say, but I mean, just I know our speaker has a lot. I had a sneak into his slide, and I know that we have a lot coming. We know when I told him about this leadership thing at first, it was like me leadership, and I'm like, now the kind of things it does, right? It takes a leader to actually handle those things, and I know we are in for a very great time. Just like Maxwell will say that everything rises and falls on leadership. But some people don't see themselves as leaders because they probably, they don't have a title like youth leader or party leader or something. No, like for you, I mean, for everybody represented in this forum, I believe you are a leader in your own right because, I mean, everybody here I see you have achieved in one way or the other, and it takes you leading yourself first, right, to be able to set a goal and meet it. So it means you've been able to lead yourself because you can't even lead others if you cannot lead yourself. That's one thing. I don't know. I'm tempted to talk politics. We have a lot of mess going on in certain countries because the people that lead us cannot even lead their own lives. They don't have lives we can emulate. But then they're leading the whole country, and that's why we have all the disaster all over the place. So I mean, so I know this leadership talk is extremely important, and it is. So you just want to prepare your mind for what is coming. I think I can stop at that point. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Darcy. So I think most of us, even at times, we think we have nothing to do with leadership. And no matter how insignificant we might think, our role doesn't have anything to do with our leadership. We occupy a leadership role at different levels. If you are an elder one who have a younger one, you are in a leadership role. Even if you are a class rep, it is a leader. It doesn't matter how insignificant you think that role you occupy as a leader is. It is a leadership role. And I think there's this version in the Bible who talks about someone who is found faithful in the little, who is going to be made Lord over plenty. So no matter how insignificant that small position that we find ourselves in at the moment, how we be able to be successful in that will determine how far or how big we are going to transition into a bigger role. So thank you for that, Professor Dancy. So before I bring up our speaker for today, I'm just going to try to give you just a snippet into who this person has been, who is currently is. And like I said, I also see him becoming one of the professors that is going to be making a lot of impact in knowledge transition, which is like part of the thing that I see. So his current who he is Emmanuel Awosu, is currently pursuing his PhD in Japan. He is a driven scholar who obtained his bachelor's degree in pure and industrial chemistry, followed by a master's degree in petroleum chemistry / petrochemical in Nigeria. So you can see it's all about the oil money. So he gained 3 years of industrial experience at Dangote Fertilizer Limited, Africa's largest fertilizer complex, where he continues to contribute. He was awarded the fully funded Japanese Ministry of Education and Tourism MEX government scholarship for his doctoral work at Tohoku University. I don't know why most of these individuals are just going to Tohoku, to Japan. Maybe I should even look for an opportunity in Tohoku, Japan.
That's where it's happening, man.
Okay. I want to believe that anyway. So at Tohoku, he conducts research in applied chemistry at the renowned Yoshioka Laboratory. Notably, he was selected as one of 100 finalists in the emerging talent category from over 3,000 candidates. I want to read that place again. He was selected as one of 100 finalists in the emerging talent category from over 300 candidates in 60 countries. So you can see what I'm trying to emphasize there. So it also shows how he has improved himself over the years, and how also he has lead in several roles. You can see from his biograph, just a little one we have here. You can see how he has transitioned from different roles and where it currently is at the moment. Contest at the Falling World Club. So competition in Berlin 2023. So with drum roll, I'm presenting to you our guest speaker for today, Emmanuel Awosu. Please let's welcome Emmanuel Awosu with any emoji, clapping, or make some sound.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining from. My name is Manuel. Thank you very much for the kind introduction. Thank you, Prof, for the platform of RBF. It has really been building my capacity, trust me. When I have time, I just go in, I catch up on everything. Thank you very much for yielding and creating that platform. Yeah, so I would like to start sharing my screen. That's okay. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. The topic for today's presentation is the secrets of exceptional leadership in today's world, with a subtitle of Uncovering the Path to Inspiring and Effective Leadership. My talk will go through this outline. First, I will introduce what leadership is all about, the definition of leadership, the importance of leadership in today's dynamic, ever-changing world, the basic principle, the practical tips for aspiring leaders, and the conclusion to this talk. First of all, I would like to also start by giving a brief introduction about my background. I did my bachelor's degree at Futo. Yes. If there any Futo, it's in the house. Prayer University of Technology, Owerri, from which I transitioned into my MSc at University of Port Harcourt, where I studied petroleum chemistry / petrochemicals. I was targeting the oil industry with all muzzle, but as man plans, God also plans. So from there, I transitioned to Tohoku University, where I'm currently doing my doctoral degree with Bridgestone Corporation. My work experience, I've worked at National Institute of Pharmaceutical Research and Development, Abuja, and also I currently am working with Dangote Fertilizer in Lagos, and also Bridgestone Corporation. Okay, my introduction will not be complete without introducing my beautiful wife. She is Dr. Choma Uche Okeke, and she is also the owner of, she's the owner of Chilo Talks on YouTube, which has over 59,000 subscribers and 183 videos later. Okay, so with that, we'll now start the talk. First of all, I would like to start by re-echoing what Professor said. All of us are leaders. And I want to start this presentation with the covering of the laborers in the vineyard proverb. The parable starts in the book of Matthew 20, verse 1 to 16. It talks about the parable of the laborers in the vineyard. It tells the story of a householder who hires laborers at different times throughout the day to work in his vineyard. Despite the varying hours worked, each laborer receives the same pay, a penny. So basically, he went out, the owner of the house went out at 9 a.m., hired somebody, at 12 a.m., at 12 p.m., hired somebody else, 2 p.m., 3 p.m., then at close of work, he hired somebody, let's say at 4 p.m. And the story continues. When those who work the longest complained about receiving the same wage as those who worked an hour, the householder reminds them that they agreed to the wage and that he is not being unfair. He asserts his rights to be generous with his own money and challenges their sense of fairness, asking if they are envious because of his generosity. So the key message to take from this parable is that regardless of when we come to work, regardless of our past, regardless of the timing of our acceptance, we all have equal pay and equal opportunity, equal rewards in the kingdom of God. And I just want to say that it's an honor to be picked upon to talk about leadership. It's not about when we started. It's not about how long we've been in the game of relationship, marriage, career. It's just about sharing and trying to learn from the experiences of others, our experiences, and talk about what we can improve on as future leaders. And that's just my premise on. I'm just trying to come out that umbrella of that covering. Yeah. Okay, so I'll start by introducing what leadership is. First of all, who is a leader? Looking at the generic term, who a leader is, you can say a leader is an individual who influences, guides, and directs others towards achieving a common goal. That is the generic term of leadership. But the Christian terminology for leadership is acting and speaking to create a following towards a goal, all defined by the Bible. The reason why I included the Bible in this definition is because from the time of the Bible, even before the time of the Bible and its principle has remained true as society has continued to change. What do I mean by that? If you're not a Christian, you take the principles of the Bible, apply it in terms of leadership, you will remain relevant 20 decades later, 100 decades later, you will still be relevant in your field as a leader. And that is why I had to include that anchor in that definition. So on this slide, I'll be talking about the current perspective on leadership, insights from the headlines. Leadership is constantly being tested and shaped by global challenges such as war, leadership disputes, economic, political crises. Each of these challenges presents unique obstacles that require leaders to adapt and respond effectively. From the time of World War II to how the war ended and to current news about someone trying to wake Joe Biden up in the current US election that will take place in November. What I'm just trying to say is that as time progresses, leadership is being tested, is being shaped by global challenges, by leadership disputes, economic and political crises, and what have you. It has always been tested by times, by change, by seasons, etc. And with the changing landscape in our environment and the impact of globalization, leaders must navigate a more interconnected society and culturally diverse world. In terms of technological advancement, the adoption of AI, big data, digital tools require leaders to stay ahead of tech trends. And also workforce dynamics. In Japan currently, you have robots that are being used in restaurants. There's now workforce dynamics in terms of remote, flexible workforce arrangements, demands new approach to team management and communication. In as much as leadership landscapes continues to change, most men can adapt by observing and studying these trends, behavior, and even learning new languages, whether programming languages or lingua franca. We can adapt fairly when it comes to the change that happens in the world around us. But we continue to struggle in one particular area. And we'll be discussing in depth about that later in the talk. On this slide, there is similarities between world leaders. If we look at King Jong-un, he has a particular similarity with Putin of Russia. Putin of Russia also has a similarity that connects him with the president of China, Xi. Same goes for Obama and Trump and Rishi Sunak, who is the past prime minister of Britain just until last week. And recently, President Ruto has been making news in Kenya. He also has similarities with all these leaders. And our very own President Bola Tinubu also has a particular similarity with all these leaders. Same goes for Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. And what do these leaders all have in common? They have families. The unit of good leadership is family. Now, the basic principle, like I said earlier, everything is being questioned constantly, from science to objective truth to gender. We just heard about how in the Western world now you have to use the appropriate pronouns, even to technology. If you watch the recent podcast of Joe Rogan and Terrence Howard, they were literally trying to prove that 1 × 1 is no longer 1, it's now 2. So science that we have said is an objective truth is now being questioned in the times we live in. Now, as society continues to change, what anchor holds firm in terms of leadership? How do we cope? How do we remain true? How do we lead in these times? And it brings us to the anchor found in the Bible. And like I said earlier, the Bible has remained true. The principles in the Bible have remained true even up until this day and age where we have artificial intelligence and what have you. The principles in the Bible have remained true. Even till the nth generation, they continue to remain true. But the principle of leadership can be found in Matthew 20:26. And it says, but whosoever shall be great among you, let him be your minister, in quote, servant. And whosoever will be chief among you, let him be your servant. Now, to remain relevant as we keep on evolving as a society, as a globe, as a country, as a family unit, if you have to become relevant, you have to come at it with the approach of a servant leader mindset. And one of the most difficult things I have found out as a human to change is the human mindset. It is very difficult to change the human mindset. And it can be seen in terms of the Bible. God will not force salvation on you. He knows that the end is very, very bad. But even at that, he won't force it on you. It's very difficult to change someone's mindset. And that is why we are having so many challenges in terms of leadership in our society, as we see. It's because of the difficulty in changing people's mindset. But when you approach leadership with the servant leadership model, I assure you that you can remain relevant even if society evolves into whatever version it will evolve into. And like I said, the family and this anchor, which is the servant leadership anchor, plays a vital role in fostering transformation at personal, communal, and society levels. On these slides, we'll be diving deeper into the core qualities of exceptional leadership. The first quality I would like to talk upon is setting long-term goals that inspire and mobilize the family. in quote, visionary thinkers. I saw a tweet from Pastor Kisley. We all know him. He said, come, all these mature men that say they can't fight good women, where are you looking at? He went further to say, as I travel and speak in my practice as a counselor, I run into a lot of eligible ladies. I mean, pretty hardworking ladies, decent, godly ladies. So where is the scarcity you guys are talking about? And he's trying to refer to how there is a scarcity in men that can stand up and lead such women that are doing very well in their fields in terms of marriage. And it becomes a huge problem. What we have is that we have men that are not visionary thinkers. And what it does is that provision is not all there is to leadership in the marriage, in the home. Like I said earlier, the unit of good leadership is your family. If we see how your family is, we can as well plot a graph and derive a slope that you will be a good leader when trusted with the reins of society. Provision is not all there is to leadership in the family. Beyond provision, while providing for the family's material needs is crucial, don't get me wrong, it is only one aspect of leadership. Leadership within the family involves emotional support, nurturing, guiding family members toward achieving their own potential. And we don't have enough of these leaders in our homes, in our families, in our societies that will rise up to the challenge, apart from bringing provision to the family. What else can you offer? And that's why Pastor Kingsley was making this tweet, and he was complaining that where are all these men looking at? Where are all these men looking at? And what we find out is that most guys are scared, or not, let me not say scared, most guys are skeptical about going into relationship with ladies that are seemingly doing better than them. You find out that most men don't have the capacity in terms of how to handle, how to lead these women in life. To talk about, I would like to give an example about how, as a man, you have to be visionary in your thinking. So I met my wife through a friend in 2019 when I was still working, when I was working with Dangote. I'm still working there, sorry. When I started my job at Dangote Fertilizer in 2019. And what I discovered was there was a day we were having conversation. I think it was during the lockdown. And I love conversations with my wife. If you've met my wife, like Professor Dansu can attest to that, you can go on for hours discussing with her. Like she has a very gifted way of articulating her thoughts. And so we are just discussing during the lockdown, sometime around March of 2020, yes. And I was like, I asked her, why don't you start a YouTube channel? Then she was in Japan, I was in Nigeria. She was doing her PhD, also in chemistry, bioanalytical chemistry. And I was asking her, why don't you start a YouTube channel to see how you can articulate your thoughts? And she made known some reservations to me. And I just thought it wasn't a big deal. It's no big deal. It's just a YouTube channel. Harness your gifts. Try and see how you can help others, build a platform, use your gift in articulating your thoughts, in articulating societal issues. And that was how her journey on YouTube started. And today, she has over 59,000 subscribers on YouTube. So that's one way of looking at visionary thinking as a leader. What you don't have or build on in the capacity as a leader at the family level, you cannot give at communal or societal level. You would embarrass yourself at that national level. The servant leader anchor, like I said, it stays true no matter the climate. Most men that, like we have seen, it's not about the environment now. I've seen examples of men in Japan, men in Nigeria that do not support their wife's vision. We see it all around us. It's not about a Nigerian factor thing. It's not about, okay, and I brought something. It's just inherent in them. They see supporting their wife's career as a contribution. So that's one thing as leaders you have to have. You have to be able to see your wife's vision. You cannot see it as a competition. You cannot be insecure about it. And that's one core qualities of exceptional leaders. You have to be a visionary thinker. Next, I would like to share a news that made recent headlines in the US. A pastor is facing federal charges after he allegedly hit his wife in the head during a flight after she got upgraded and he didn't. So what basically happened was they were in the economic seating arrangement on the flight, and the wife, I don't know how she somehow got upgraded to first class or business class, as the case may be. And this pastor hit his wife in the head in public. Like, that's what I was trying to say. You cannot role model what you don't show or practice in your family level. You can't just appear in public and all of a sudden you are showing good leadership. No, it doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. So this is an incident that happened, I think, over the course of last week or last month in the US, and it made serious headline. And currently he's facing federal charges in the US. It boils down to not having a vision, not having a vision thinking mindset. Vision thinkers have the ability to see beyond their immediate needs and plan for the future. Men as vision thinkers play a vital role in setting long-term goals and aspirations for the family. This involves creating a shared vision of what the family can achieve and the values that are guiding your family. Like I said, if you don't have a vision, anything becomes an upset. Anything becomes a confrontation. Anything becomes an argument. You have to have a vision for your family. You have to have a vision for where you're taking your family to. If you don't have that, everything and anything can become a distraction to you. The next point I have to make is, as leaders, you have to be a role model. Men can serve as role models for their children by embodying visionary thinking, demonstrating thinking strategically, making informed decisions, and pursuing long-term goals can instill similar qualities in the next generation. A very good example of this would be where at some point after 2019, after I met my wife, we started discussing about where is the ideal country to raise up a family? Where is the ideal country to raise up a family? I remember us having the goal of Canada as the ideal place for us. We have so many reasons why we chose Canada, but for us, it was just Canada. And from then onward, we started thinking about it strategically. How do we move from Nigeria to Japan, from Japan to Canada? And at every point in time, we're checkmating ourselves, check and balance here and there, thinking strategically how we can do this. What are the steps need to be taken? Do we need to write IELTS? Do we need to have conversations with people that have gone ahead of us? What we needed to do. We have a list where we wrote down everything that needed to be had. And for everything we accomplish, we ticked it as good. Fast forward to February, I think, or March of last year, precisely March 24th or thereabout. We had gotten everything and we needed to make an application. I remember we wrote IELTS in Tokyo and my wife's result was withheld. Somehow she did very well and they needed to do some quality assurance check on it. So when we got the result back, in the whole episode of being happy that the results has finally been released, now we can actually enter the pool. I just had that nudge from this Holy Spirit that apply for this night, because the next day, usually the draw happens on Wednesdays, but sometimes it's bi-weekly, sometimes it's a Wednesday in a month, sometimes it's every Wednesday. So I had that nudge from the Holy Spirit that apply for this thing now, because Japan is way ahead of time than Canada. So I told her, let's get into the pool today. And she was like, oh, let's just give it time. Let's celebrate this victory that we've already had with the IELTS and all that. I said, yes, we can be doing that while applying for this. And that was how we strategically applied that night. And in 24 hours, the Canadian draw was held. And that was how we were able to get our invitation to apply for Canada permanent residence. And since that time thereon, the invitation has not been consistent. So that is one way of thinking strategically, making informed decision as a leader in your home, and not being frivolous about or not being contentious about tiny issues as much as being upgraded on a flight and you go ahead and cause a mayhem on the air. So that is one way of thinking strategically. Another core quality is, as leaders in our family unit, you have to be able to inspire and guide. Visionary leadership includes inspiring family members to work towards common goals. Men as vision thinkers can motivate their families by articulating a clear and compelling vision for the future. They can guide their families through challenges by keeping focus on the bigger picture and long-term objectives. As men, we have the mindset of work, work, work. Yes, there is a need to create a balance to that mindset. But at the same time, at every point in time, you should be able to check what your long-term objectives are, what your short-term objectives are. You're able to checkmate yourself. You should be able to be open to criticism, constructive criticism. And that way, what happens is that you become aligned, you become a straight arrow, and you're not being distracted by what goes on social media or what is another person's experience. That way, long-term objectives, short-term objectives, medium-term objectives, they keep you in check, they keep you in line. And that is what you need as a leader. It makes you not to be comfortable in your comfort zone. I don't know if it makes sense. It makes you not to be comfortable in your comfort zone. It gives you the fire to want to continue. And that is one core quality as if a budding leader should have. The next will have to be emotional intelligence. This is one key issue that a leader is meant to have. And the components of it include self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, compassion, empathy, social skills. The servant leader approach ensures you can see, you can feel, you can support, you can listen, you can learn, you can ask, you can seek, you can be empathetic, you can be patient, you can be loving, you can be compassionate to your spouse and your family. If you are not compassionate to your spouse, your children, your family at the basic level of the unit of a family, you cannot be compassionate when you get to the national or societal level. There is no way you can give what you don't have. If you don't build the capacity now, you will not have the opportunity to build it when you're on top. What it means is that you're selfless, you're not self-centered. If you are not emotionally intelligent in a family unit of 4 persons, you wouldn't be in a country of 150 million people. There is no way you can produce empathy, compassion when you get to the top, when you're surrounded by wealth, when you're surrounded by fame, when you're surrounded by pride. You cannot be empathetic, you cannot be compassionate then on people you're leading. It all starts at the family level. In some of our families, we treat strangers better than we treat our spouses. And you want to be empathetic, you want to be compassionate when you get to the national level. You can't give what you don't have. We treat citizens of other countries better than our own, meanwhile forgetting that charity begins at home. Take the example of a childbirth. It has been said that the pain of a childbirth is synonymous with the breaking of all 207 bones in your body all at once. That is the equivalent of the pain. Now, once your spouse goes through that pain, it is that time you know that you are now Lord and Master. They have to serve you fresh food every day. They have to do this every day. They have to wash your clothes every day. It's not something that happens in Nigeria. I've seen it happen here in Japan. I've seen it happen in the US, where most men place the role of a wife. They give higher priorities to the role of a wife more than the wife itself. That is insensitive. That is not empathetic. That is not loving. You cannot be so insensitive at the family level and now want to come and be sensitive at the national level. It doesn't work that way. The unit of good leadership starts from the family level. That is the simple truth of it. And there are ways you can be empathetic. There are ways you can have emotional intelligence. These things are learned. Thank God for the RBF forum, where you can ask questions, you can network, you can learn from others, you can learn from others' testimony. How do I do this? What do I need to do? Thank God for the RBF forum. You cannot give what you don't have. It all starts at the family level. There are different ways of showing emotional intelligence. One way of showing emotional intelligence is listening, seeing, observing, supporting, asking, seeking. As hectic as, for those of us that are in the Western world, you know that it's like almost everything is timed, everything is programmed. Everything is programmed. You cannot now see how things are done abroad and you want to now impose the traditional way of doing things, the mindset of old times in modern day situation, in our modern day world. You cannot have your cake and eat it. It's not done that way. So one way to develop emotional intelligence is by being empathetic, is by being patient, is by learning, is by being compassionate, helping out in the home front, whether it comes to domestic duties or swapping roles or support or just doing things to make the other person's life easier. It helps. It helps. It helps in so many ways. After childbirth, there's such a thing called postpartum depression. Most of our modern day men don't know about that. The change a woman's body undergoes in childbirth is, I've read about it, I've listened to people's experience on Instagram, Twitter, and it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. Just the other day, I had an injury on my hand, and I forgot that I was in a quiet place. I wanted to shout my heart out. Now imagine having all 207 bones in your body being broken at the same time. Imagine the pain. So we have to be empathetic. We have to be selfless. So that is one key quality that will make exceptional leaders as the world continues to change, as the world continues to evolve. So that is one important quality. The next quality is adaptability, pivoting strategies in response to changes. The servant leader mindset makes adaptability easy and strategies clearer. When you have the servant leader mindset, adapting to changes is very easy. I'm not saying it's not challenging. I'm not saying it's not hard, but the amount of time it will take you to adapt, you close it up immediately. For example, my wife currently is in Canada. She's working in Vancouver. I'm also in Japan. So we're in a long distance relationship as it stands now. And the time difference is minus 16 hours. Currently, the time in Vancouver is 8:55 a.m. The time here in Japan is 12:55 a.m. on a Sunday. So, but we've learned to adapt to that time difference. We find time to talk, we find time to gist, we find time to bond. There are no complaints about cooking, household chores. We know what we are chasing. We can't trip over little things like this. That's where your long-term goals comes in. It's more important. The winning, your family winning, your wife winning is more important than your needs. It's more important than your need. As a servant leader, you have been called to be in your home. It is more important than your needs. So there is a quote from Turning Point USA. It says, "The same man who angrily demands you tolerate and accept his way of life hates you passionately for yours." There are men that can't adapt to change easily. And if you don't have that as a leader, you will continue to remain stuck in places you will not go far. You will not go far. There are men, as hectic as life is in the Western world, there are men that demand fresh food every day, despite the fact that you have 24 hours electricity. So if I get the dynamics is different in every family. I get there are dynamics there are women that are housewives and all that. I get that. But you can't be demanding fresh food every day when both you and your wife go out for the same hustle. You guys come back at the same time. You can't be Lord and Master. You can't lord over your wife with dominions that are crazy, with demands that are terrible. It doesn't work that way. You should be able to adapt to change in the whatever environment you find yourself. You can't place the emphasis of the role of a wife more than the person itself. It doesn't work that way. So this is one skill, one important quality as leaders we should be able to have, the ability to adapt, and having the servant leader mindset makes that easier. Another important quality is integrity. You have to learn how to build trust and how to become accountable, both to your spouse and to your whoever you're modeling life after. You have to be open and accountable to such persons. I read this tweet on Twitter. It says, "Dear men, is there an appropriate method for telling you that you're wrong about a certain thing? I just want to learn, please," she said. Festus responded. He said, "I wish you would have done it like this to achieve a better result. But don't worry, you will get it right next time. And you can always confide in me if you need my input." It brings us to communication skills. As a leader, you have to be clear, concise, transparent in information sharing. You have to have tough talks. My wife and I, we evaluate where we are as a couple, where we are as a family, where we are as friends, where we are as in our individual businesses, where we are as, everything, family, extended family, all that, where we are. We come together, we discuss. We don't come to the table with knives, bow, gun, and arrow. We don't come with the defensive mindset. We have tough talks. We see it from different perspectives. Do not be blind with egos or temperament. Learn to listen, discuss your fears, yield to redirection. It will save you a lot of time. That's one of the effective key qualities of a leader. You're able to listen. You're able to. No leader knows it all. No leader knows it all. If you think of the best leaders in the world today, none of them know it all. You have to be open. You have to be teachable. You have to listen. You have to listen. You have to communicate effectively. There's such a thing called active listening. Show genuine interest, understanding, connect emotionally. Ask questions, evaluate, check and balances here and there. It will help you to to evaluate where you are. It will also help you become vulnerable, more vulnerable, because there's this quality about men that men are not vulnerable. Men are just close-minded. We just do things brashly and move on. But that's not effective communication. That's not effective leadership. You have to be open about your hurts. You have to be open about being open, being communicative is not a weakness, it's a strength. And that is one key thing that we are lacking in our today's world as leaders. And it all has to start on the family level. Wherever you find yourself, that is where it has to start. The next point is empowering others. I have a tweet here by Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey, if you don't know him, he's a Christian financial expert in the US. He advises on how to manage money and finances and all that. He says, no one, and I mean no one, should be a bigger cheerleader and fan of your spouse than you. We bend towards the places where we are loved, celebrated, and appreciated. If work or friends or video games or the internet appreciates your wife more than you, over time, they will lean that way. If you can't be a fan because their actions aren't worthy of celebration, begin working on that reality immediately. Cheer on and celebrate your spouse like your marriage depends on it, because it does. It brings me to my next question, recognition. You have to learn how to celebrate the achievements of your wife and how to provide constructive feedbacks. This is one key quality of good leaders. If you have this quality as a leader, no matter how times changes, no matter how season changes, you will still become relevant and important wherever you find yourself. You have to celebrate the achievement of others. Even in my laboratory, even when I interact with my colleagues, wherever I find myself, I just find one thing to compliment them on. Oh, you did this very well. You did this very well. And what it does is that whenever I ask for help, everybody's running helter-skelter to come and see how they can help Emmanuel. And it all has to start, like I said, from the family level. Learn how to celebrate, recognize the efforts of your wife or your spouse or your children or whoever they may be. Learn, wherever you find yourself, learn how to celebrate their efforts. For example, like I said earlier, my wife has a YouTube channel with over 59K viewers. For every video she puts up, she has over 183 videos, if I'm not mistaken. I preview those videos before they go up, just so I have a backing. If there's any legal issue, if there's any issue that has to do with YouTube and all that, I preview all the videos before they go up. I find time every week to preview those videos. Nobody admires my wife more than me. For those of my friends that have me on WhatsApp, some of them have even blocked me. They're like, this guy. Nobody admires my wife more than me. I celebrated her PhD more than myself. Like, she was just being very humble about it. I was like, you don't know what you're doing. I started calling her Dr. Baby at some point. You have to celebrate your wife more than outsiders. You cannot have another person outdo you in terms of that. That's how leaders are. You give commendations where it's due. I use more energy in not posting my wife than in posting. Her success does not make me insecure in any way. She's doing very well for herself in Vancouver, YouTube, wherever she has found herself, even in Japan, even before she left Japan. She has been doing very well. Even when I was working in Nigeria, in Dangote, I didn't feel insecure in any way. I knew I had some things in me that I can lead this woman of God into who she has been called to be. The Bible says 1 will chase 1,000, 2 will chase 10,000, and that's how it's supposed to be. You should not be a step limiting rate to your wife's success. It doesn't work that way. As a leader, it does not work. It is one quality that is important in today's world. The next point I have to talk about is role modeling. On this point, I wouldn't emphasize it more. Let the question do the talking. Would you want your daughter to marry your type? And the next point is delegation. Delegation allows family members to develop new skills, gain confidence, and take ownership of their work, while also freeing up the servant leader to focus on higher levels, tasks, and strategic goals. What do I mean by this? I've seen some men that say they don't want their wife to work. They don't want their wife, they are insecure about their wife's success. What this does is that it puts you as a servant leader on a different threshold of stress. For example, you can be in a high-level meeting and your wife is calling you to ask you to send money for Maggie or to send money for onions. But if she's empowered, if she's doing her own thing successfully, she can easily do that and tell you, or she can easily make decisions and get back to you when you come back. That's so and so happened, and this is how I dealt with it. And you guys can talk about it, critique it, and move on. But I understand that the family dynamics is different, but it's my point being that you have to empower, you have to delegate duties to your spouse, to your kids, if they can handle it. You have to delegate tasks, you have to delegate strategic goals, and not just surround yourself with the alpha and omega ego of, I'm the one that provided this, I am the one that provided this. It doesn't work that way. You have to learn how to free up tasks. You have to learn how to delegate duties. You have to learn how to welcome opinions, welcome criticism, know how to move on, know how to become a team. As a leader, you're a team player. You're part of the team. You're not just directing how things are going. You're involved in the day-to-day running of things. And that is one important duty to have. On a football game, only the captain can't win a football match. Everybody has to do their rules. But there are some men, some narcissistic men, that it's just all about them. It's all about me, how I provide, take this money for this month. They don't support their wife's success because somehow it becomes a competition to their respect or their top table dominion, as it were, in the family. So that's one important aspect of a leader. You delegate duty to others. On this picture, we have two different categories. We have the boss and we have the leader part of it. The servant leader mindset is all about doing the work with your spouse, getting into the day-to-day running of the home, and not just being the commander-in-chief in your family unit. It doesn't work that way. The purpose of marriage is unity. You have to be united on all fronts. At the same time, what do I mean by that? Challenges will come, navigating uncertainties. As leaders, for example, the COVID situation that happened, nobody had ever experienced that at the world stage. But you have to have a strategy, develop contingency plans, and being consistent at it. You have to develop contingency plans on how to achieve this goal, how to achieve this task, no matter the uncertainty. One key principle that always helps me is flexibility. You have to be flexible as a leader in your home. If you're not flexible, you will break. If you're not flexible, you're going to break. And one way to be flexible is by asking for help, discussing with people, asking questions. How is this done? What do I do about it? There is no shame in asking for help. If you come to Japan, it's more like a lesson on a daily basis. You can't know it all. You can't know it all. Even if you know it all, you can't know Japanese for the first time when coming to Japan. You have to ask for help. And there is no shame in that. It is a core quality of leaders. Ask for help from the experts. How is this thing done? What do I need to do about this? How do I go about this process? Get feedback, receive constructive criticism, know how to progress from one point to the other. When you're flexible, no matter the uncertainty, you can't trip up over any issue, no matter the uncertainty, no matter the challenge. Being flexible is one key principle that always works. For example, like I said, the Canada-Japan situation, I'm very, very much flexible. I cook my own meals. I make my own bed. I tidy up everywhere. But there are some men that struggle. Genuinely, there are some men that struggle in that situation, in that uncertain stage. You have to know how to be flexible. You have to be flexible. And being flexible comes with being teachable. Like I said at the beginning of this talk, one of the most difficult things to change in any human is the mind. Whatever you consider, you become sensitive to. Whatever you consider, you become sensitive to. You have to be open to these platforms. Thank God for RBF that has created this platform for us to discuss ideas, challenges, get on the platform, network with people. Hey, see this issue, I'm facing this issue. Get solutions, discuss issues, not just with outsiders, but with your partner. Come up with strategic solutions. Be flexible. The next important point is balancing short-term and long-term goals. What do I mean by this? Prioritizing initiatives that align with both immediate and future objectives. There are some challenges you go through where your long-term goals will become your short-term goals, and your short-term goals will become your long-term goals. However they may be, what you can do is to sit down with your spouse, discuss the pros and cons. How do we go about this? And from then onwards, you develop a new strategy on how things are going to be done. Don't be, like I said, don't be rigid. Just be flexible. And with that qualities in your arsenal, before you know it, you're coming out on top. So the next slide talks about practical tips for aspiring leaders. The most important point for me, I would say, is continuous learning. You have to be teachable. Nobody knows it all, like I said. Nobody knows it all. For example, I was using gas chromatography in Nigeria. When I came to Japan, it was a whole new, different type of gas chromatography. You forget whatever you learn. That's the same thing with being a leader at family level. You have to be open to constructive criticism. There is a better, I've learned in my, I'll be almost 2 years in marriage. I've learned that I can save time, stress by just being open and listening to my wife. Like, you cannot believe the amount of time you can save by just being open and listening. So that is one way of developing these qualities. Is just continuous learning, staying up to date with industry trend, personal development. Like I said earlier, RBF is an example of that. Secondly, networking. The benefits include building a support system and assessing new opportunities. For example, RBF. So many articles that come up on RBF, I just read, and you cannot learn these things at work. You cannot learn them at home when you're trying to rest. Some of these things, you learn them on such platforms like this. And what it does is that it helps you build capacity at your family level. Then when you get to the national or societal level, you rely on what you know. You cannot give what you don't have. It brings me to my third point, is seeking feedback, utilization, using constructive criticism to improve leadership skills. Like I said earlier, no one knows it all. You have to be open to constructive criticism. Sometimes I ask my wife, is there any way I could have done better in this situation? Is there any way I could have done better in this situation? Is there any way, what way can we, if this situation comes up tomorrow, how do we jump and pass? What do we need to do better? I ask that question constantly. And you have to have this open communication. Tough talks. It helps, it builds your capacity. It builds your capacity. For example, I don't claim to know it all, but what I can give you is I can direct you on what or what not to do. Before you know it, we have a solution to the problem. Just by listening, just by observing, just by being open, just by communication. You might not get 100% of the solution, but when you communicate, I know it's trendy for most men these days to just lock up, just withhold yourself back and try to figure it out on your own. No, you can open up, you can discuss what needs to be done. How do we go about this? And from then onwards, you will now begin to see the solution come out in the open. It brings me now to my conclusion. I like this quote from Tyler. It says, "You're 100% replaceable at work. You're not replaceable at home. If you die tomorrow, your job will replace you in a week, less than a week. Your family would never get over it. Home is your real life. Keep that perspective. Work hard, but be fully present when you're at home." You couldn't have said any better. You can be replaced instantly at work. Trust me, instantly. These guys have people on the row waiting for your mess up, waiting for your slip up. So the treasure is at home. Literally speaking, your spouse, they're at home. If you don't succeed at that level, you can't do anything at the national level. It all starts, the unit of good leadership is measured at home, and that's where it begins. So we've looked at servant leadership model. This model will continue to remain relevant, even with the steady globalization of society. It will always remain relevant. When you have this approach of servant leadership model, it will continue to remain relevant in the society. What you do not have capacity for at the family unit, like I've said, will be lacking at the communal or societal level. And like I said, the most important point, if you're not going to get anything from this talk, the most important point is remain teachable, remain malleable at all levels. Remain malleable. Nobody knows it all. Remain malleable at all levels. This will ensure that you're not going off on a tangent on your own. People can call you back. People can say, see, you didn't do this right. And you're not just moving blindly. Remain teachable at all levels. And with that, it brings to the conclusion of my talk. And the call to action is apply these insights at our different leadership roles in our family. Remain teachable. Keep lines of communication open. Have that servant leadership model. Well, what it means is it's not just a bogus word, it's a servant leadership model. Before you're a leader, you're a servant. And if you apply that at every level, trust me, people are observing, people are seeing you, people are observing. And when the time comes for your upliftment from the family level to the societal level, you will not mess up. You will have the capacity to deliver. It's no wonder why leaders at the national level of things are desperately wicked. There was no capacity at the family level. If you're not sensitive to your spouse of how many years married, you can't be sensitive to our needs as Nigerians. If you're not sensitive to your children, you can't be sensitive to our needs as over 150 million Nigerians. And that's the mayhem we see in society, whether Nigeria or in the Western world. It's as a result of not this servant leadership model not been in place. If you have this servant leadership model in place at whatever level you find yourself, trust me, you will remain relevant irrespective of whatsoever change that is happening. Thank you very much.
Whoa, thank you. That has been an interesting session. I was just sitting here trying to take in as many things as possible. We can, for most of you that have been here with while the discussion was going on, you will bear with me that you can listen to Mr. Emmanuel for as long as possible. It's just the way he communicates is so serene. You can continue to listen to his voice for for as long as as he keeps talking. So I've learned a lot from what he has said, and I've had some of quotes that I'm definitely going to be sharing on my timelines and also shared with some of my close friends. So some of the things that I've actually some of the quotes that I've actually had to the list of my quotes is, what you don't have at family level, you can't give at the communal or societal or national level. So I think that summarizes everything. Even if you look at the context of what is happening in our beloved country right now, you see most of our leaders that they are in position right now, they are just exhibiting some of the things that they exhibited at their family level, at that unity level. So what they are showing right now is not something that just exhibiting right now. It's something that has been dormant over the years, even at that learning ground that they not maybe learn what they need to learn. So I think it's also brings us to the fact that at any level that we even find ourselves, he also said that we should be teachable. Some of these individuals, they have agenda. Even when you're trying to say this thing could be done this way, they are not ready to listen. But it's still left to us that we've been privileged to be in this environment, this learning environment. It should not only be the hearers of what we've been hearing, also cultivate it. And I think one of the huge challenge we have as men is the ego. The ego issue is I think is depriving of so many things. Like he said, I have friends also, even in this Western world, that they eat everything fresh. When I was saying that, I was just laughing like, I thought I was only the person that had.
I don't understand that, honestly.
Yeah, I was like, why will you even think, when you have several preservative methods that could make life easy for you, why will you say you want your wife to be cooking everything you want to eat on daily basis, fresh as in
on daily basis,
fresh. And like, if you are the woman, will you do the same thing? And I think it also speaks to the point where he said we should, before we even do things, we should put ourselves in the situation where you ask the question that, if will you advise your daughter to marry a man like you? So that helps us to assess ourselves, that what we are doing in this case, is it what what is right for us to be doing? So if you know that at this level you wouldn't even advise your daughter to marry a man like you, there's something wrong. There's so many things that you need to correct in the way you address things and the way you do things. So thank you very much for this opportunity, for this talk. And I really appreciate the slide. I want to ask if it's going to be made available for individuals who are interested in maybe going through it. Will it be made available to RBF individuals?
Yeah, it's fine by me. No problem.
Yeah, you can remove every sensitive information from it. Just the content.
Okay.
I think it's going to be very helpful for individuals to have, especially those that were unable to join us at the moment. So right now we'll be moving into question and answer session. So if you have questions, you can either raise up your hand or you can uh, share your question in the comment section. So if while we put that together, I don't know if Emmanuel has some of the already existing questions that we would love to address at this point in time. So you can go ahead
Okay.
while we wait for questions to come in.
Okay. The first question is it possible to be a perfect leader? I would say, first of all, there is no perfect human being. We can just keep on getting better. If you achieve perfection, how would your demeanor be? Would it take the servant leader approach? Would it still be effective? But when you know that you have to keep on evolving, you have to keep on producing a better version of yourself, I think the perfection is in the continuation. The perfection is in the learning, being teachable. Because as society continues to evolve, your leadership is being required, whether at family level or societal level. They will always call upon you to make such decisions, right? And if you make a decision that is not right, it takes humility to recall that decision, just like in the case of the Kenyan situation that is currently going on. So I think, is it possible to be a perfect leader? Yes, it's possible, but you have to keep on. It's not a position that you can attain, but it's a position that you continually keep on working yourself upon. I don't know if that makes any sense, but you just have to keep on working on that. It's not just about wanting to, it's not just like university education where you just want to just get this and move on. There will be new challenges, there will be new situations, new climate issue, new permutations of family, new permutations of situations you get, and your leadership will always be called upon. So your perfection as a leader is in the continuation of gaining knowledge. So yes, in that aspect, it can be attained. The next question says, what are the secrets of an exceptional leader? Like I said, the main secret of an exceptional leader is the servant leader mindset. Take it anyway. You can go on YouTube and get 1,000 ways to lead the society, 1,000 ways to lead your family. But the best way, the most exceptional leader have that servant leader mindset. A very good example of that leader is Jesus Christ when he was here on earth. He was that leader that is perfection in all himself. Imagine God as man, left everything as God, came down as man and did what he had to do just so that we can be connected back to him. So that's the secret, is the servant leader mindset. And once you have that mindset, you're already on your way to becoming an exceptional leader. I see Israel in your Lua raising his hands. You can go ahead and ask a question if that's fine.
Israel in your Lua, you can unmute yourself and ask a question. So while Israel in your Lua is trying to...
Why is it? Let me go on to the next question.
Okay.
The next question says, how do I take control of my life and break out of the fear factor? Okay, how do you take control of your life and break out of the fear factor? Well, I'll start by saying fear is not of God. Fear is of the devil. Yeah, so I'll start by that. And how to take control of your life. Like I said, I was speaking with a friend earlier today, and we're just talking about how your will, your decision, your will is the most important thing you have. Nobody can force you to make any decisions. You can be influenced, but ultimately the decision is yours. So, how to take control of your life? Decide that you don't want to be scared anymore. You want to be afraid anymore. When you make that decision, you're already 50% there. And what then goes on is you now begin to take it step by step. Don't look at the whole staircase. Just take it one step after the other. I know multitasking is a big thing in our generation, but I've listened to one preacher that says multitasking is just like saying you can do 1,000 things wrongly at the same time. So just take it one step at a time. Don't be overwhelmed by the fear factor. Just one step at a time. And before you know it, you break out from that fear factor. The next question is our temperament an asset to leadership? This word temperament, if you check the meaning of the word temperament in the dictionary, it literally says our animal instinct or behavior. So I'm not so I don't really like that word temperament. But he said, is our temperament an asset to leadership? It depends on what your temperament is. If you have a temperament of being angry always, it's not an asset. If you have a temperament of being offended or being angry at any little issue, it's not an asset. It depends on what your temperament is. It depends on what your temperament is. So the next question is, how do I overcome fear? Like I said, how you overcome fear is, first of all, you have to look at it from the spiritual aspect, because it's not a quality of God. And once you do that, like I said, just take it one step at a time. Once you break down that fear into tiny little steps, what it does is that it helps you confront it one after the other. You don't just confront the whole image, just break it down into tiny steps and move on them one after the other. Tips for becoming the most sought out leader, like I said, is the servant leader mindset. Once you have that, you will be sought after by even the best of the best. How to be an effective leader, showing examples. Like I said in most of my examples, you have to be a visionary thinker. You have to have the servant leader mindset. There was a poll recently that was conducted. I think it was on Twitter or so, and they asked most of the men. They were like, "Can you die for your wife?" Literally, can you die for your wife? And most of them said, "No, I can die for my children, but I can't die for my wife." And I don't understand the thesis behind that, but it just goes to show you how most men are not leaders. We are just activists in our own little way. We are not leaders. As a leader, you've been called to serve. You've been called to be on the dugout with your team. You're not there giving orders. If you want to be a leader because you want to just throw out and dish out instructions, leadership is not for you. Leadership means being in the dugout with your team members, fighting it out, trying to hit challenges on the head, not you stay in your throne and you begin to give command. You don't know what the people are suffering. You don't know what goes on in day-to-day lives of individuals. You don't know how the price of Gary in the market is tied to your decisions, to your decision making. You're not called to be a leader. An effective leader shows you have to have a servant leader mind. You have to participate in what people are going through. For example, in your family unit, like I said, all the unit of good leadership starts from the family level. If you're not a good leader at the family level, forget about being a leader at communal or societal level. With that being, nobody develops a wicked mindset from the first day in office. No, it starts from your role as a leader in your family, from your role as a husband, from your role as a father. And it begins to build up from then onwards. Over time, you have hardened your heart to either the desires of your wife, either the criticism of your wife, or the cry of your family members. You've hardened your heart over time. And when you get to that position of power, what just goes on is just sheer dishing out of wickedness to everybody. So that is one way to be an effective leader, is to have that servant leader mindset. Yes. I think that's all the question I have here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. So is Israel Inolua ready for his question right now? Can I see your hands up? So while Israel Inolua is I think getting ready, just to add to some of your response to that, some of the questions.
Hello,
yeah,
okay. I typed my question.
So you what?
I typed it. I typed my question.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay,
let me check.
So the question says, I have found myself to lead a team or a group of people, but there is this anxiety I get when I get to address them or some issues. However, I do overcome this anxiety when I speak, though I sometimes, or I saw some articles that inability to prepare beforehand can lead to anxiety. But this isn't the case with me, even when I prepare. How do I overcome this? So I think it's talking about being anxious when it has to address a team or a group of people in it. So how can one overcome such anxiety?
Well, I think I will start by saying what you need to know is anxiety is totally normal. I was speaking to my professor the other day, and he has done over, I don't know, maybe 5,000 presentations in his lifetime. And I asked him, do you still get anxious whenever you're called upon to make a presentation? He said, yes, of course. And this is somebody that has done it over and over and over again. You get. So like he rightly pointed out, there's that anxiety, but when I think it begins to go off when you begin to speak. The most important thing you need to know is, do not let the anxiety stop you. You will always be anxious whenever you have to do something in front of people, whenever you have to make a presentation, whenever you have to speak to people. It's just that natural nature of man. I can't tell you that it goes away, because I've told you, I gave you an example of my professor that has done over how many thousand presentations in his lifetime. And he has spoken at conferences, he has led teams, he always gets that anxiety. But what happens is, when he begins to speak, just like in your case, it begins to go off slowly. But another thing you can do is ask questions from people that have been in similar situations as you. Get them to give you tips that will help you overcome the anxiety. But if it's to try to get over the anxiety completely, I don't think you can find anybody. Even you can attest to it from just by asking, or if you want us to take a poll from people that are here. If you have to give a presentation, if you have to lead anybody, if you have to do anything, there's that pinch of anxiety that is there. I don't think it ever completely goes away. But like you said, when you start speaking, gradually become comfortable, gradually it begins to go away. But what I want you to know is that it is not abnormal. It is not abnormal. Even when I was about to start this presentation, I felt anxious. You get, even though it's not anything academic that will determine my future or all that, but it's just the natural human this thing. You just want to make sure you're giving your best. You don't want to make mistakes here and there. It's just a natural human phenomenon. Like you said, that happens. What you just have to do is, do not let it hold you back. That's the most important thing. Do not let it hold you back. even though you have, trust me, you can prepare for speeches, you can prepare for presentations, what you need to do, talking points, and what have you. You will still be anxious. You've already said it yourself. It's not about whether you prepared or not. Anxiety is just a natural, I don't know, it's just, I think it might be a fallen nature of man, but it is totally fine whenever you have to feel the anxiety. But what you just have to do is don't let it stop you. It is totally normal. Don't let it get to a huge level where it becomes, it leads to depression, or it leads to loneliness, or it leads to physical fear, where it now becomes what have you. The thing is that everybody has that pinch of anxiety whenever you're going to make a presentation or lead a team. It's totally normal. But what you can do is, like I said, read up on books, have people that have gone ahead of you to manage such teams, listen to there are so many world leaders today that have led many teams. Listen to them, such as you can go on YouTube, find tech talks on leadership, on leading people. Just apply this principle. Another thing you can do is to get off your anxiety. Whenever you're having a meeting with such persons, what you can do is just, what I found out that works very well is try and be funny. Have a joke ready or something that will just, that will just take the tension out of the atmosphere. Just find a joke or something, just take the attention away from you, take the pressure away from you, just find a joke, be funny. Being funny doesn't have any enemy, to the best of my understanding. But just find something that will make everybody laugh. It diffuses the air and it gives you the stage to go on to be who you are. I think that will help you in trying to overcome that anxiety. But in terms of eroding it completely, I have never seen anybody. I don't know if Tiwa, you have completely eroded your anxiety.
I don't think that's possible. Like just like you said,
Yeah.
it's part of human nature.
Yeah.
Even in my place of work, I have my team. We talk, we discuss, even we go on lunch together. But when I have to present to them, people that we chat, I still get anxious.
Yes.
So it's just that you don't have to feed that anxiety to the point where it becomes a monster that it stops you from advancing. Just
Yes.
like Manuel said, you don't have to feed it. There are tips, like you said, listen to world leaders, read books. Something that I also do when I have presentation is I stay in front of my mirror. I practice. Of course, it's funny, but it helps me to see myself and look at how I'm putting my head, how my mouth is, all that stuff. It's kind
Yes.
of help me to see, okay, this is who you are. Just imagine you are speaking to yourself. It also helps. And also one thing he said is try and be funny. It's kind of relax the hair. People are tense, but when you crack you and people laugh, it gives you that sense of relaxation. So even because most of the time, even when I talk, I still kind of murmur at the beginning of my presentation. But as time goes on, I think I see that murmuring and that shaking or that tweaking my voice kind of fades away. So it will pass. It will pass. It just make sure that you don't feed it to the point that it stops it from advancing or achieving your goal. It's part of human nature, I think. So I don't know if Mr. Emmanuel also want to comment on that question.
Yeah, I think that's just it. Just watch YouTube videos on body language during presentation, what you need to do, and you just get out of your head. Am I doing it right? Am I not doing? Just get out of your head and just do your thing. Don't. The truth is, if you put anybody on that stage, on that role, they will also struggle with the same thing you're struggling. So just like we said, don't let it stop you. Just
Yeah.
Just
I
keep
think,
on.
yeah, I think what differs is how we both handle it. How
Yes.
they handle it might be different from how we handle it. So you may not even notice the effect, but it's there. It's
Mhm.
there. So
It's
for some
there.
of
It's
us,
always there. It's
yeah,
always
for some
there.
of us,
We've,
you
we've
notice
learned
the
how to
effect.
cover it up.
Yes, for some of us, you notice the effect in our voice, but for some
Mhm.
of these experts that have been doing it over the years, they handle it that you don't even notice
You don't
the
even
effect.
notice. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's there. So it's not something that you can get rid of. It's part of, I think it's part of continuous development. So if you have to speak, then there will also be that trace of anxiety. So President Dansu, do you want to add to that question?
Una don chop meat, chop bone join. Which I want to look. I'm okay. Like, I approve of all the message. I mean, it's been such a nice one.
Yeah, it's doing. And also regarding the perfection, I agree completely with what Emmanuel said. So in global level, I don't think there's anything that is called perfection
Affection.
because
Yeah.
there's always room for
Improvement.
improvement. Yes. So even what you think is perfect today, in a couple of hours time, there's something new that needs to be done.
It's a version
So
of it.
yes. So it's just based on, like you said, a continuous improvement. You have to just keep saying, okay, this is the level I am today. At this level, it seems like the best, but in the next couple of hours, the next couple of minutes, something new might come up. And the innovation that we experience is, I think, is part of it. When you
Yeah.
see a couple of years ago, AI wasn't as pronounced as it is now. But even right now, there are so many changes to what you can do, even with the AI. There's so many achievements that you can have with the use of AI. But several years ago, someone has told us that at some point in time, we'll be able to ask ChatGPT to do something and you'll be able to get that done immediately. You were like, no, I don't think that will even exist. But right now, we are seeing it. So perfection, I don't think in real sense there's a global state where a single perfection fits all. It's just like a temporary state that can be improved on at any point in time. And also we talked about temperament. And when we were discussing about that, it quickly took me back to your presentation slide where the pastor eats the wife on the plane. I'm like, yeah, I think that's a typical example of temperament because it's not temperament. I don't think it's a good thing because if he had managed his anger very well, he wouldn't have done that publicly to the extent of letting other people even notice it. So I don't think temperament is a good, let's say, quality of a good leadership that we're talking about here. And I think you summarized it all as a servant leader. And your examples from the Bible have done justice to it. God has demonstrated it several times, even while he was washing the feet of his disciples. He exhibited that you can live without serving. So, and several points he has also done that. So, I think it's just the fact that if you want to lead, you have to serve. If you want to be a good leader, you have to serve. And some of us have we've had so many good individuals who have put themselves in this position, and we've been able to have them as mentors, and they've been able to lead us, and we've been able to see how they handle things in every facet of our life. And another thing that just kept me laughing here is the is it the survey you said you came across about when they asked if some men can die for their wife? I'm like,
Yes.
that is a very big that is a very
Almost.
big
They were like,
question.
no, I can't die. I was like, we are called to give our life just like how Jesus Christ. So what is going on?
Because I was also, at that point in time, I was trying to assess myself. I'm like, I better don't answer this question while my wife is there. So So, and I think it kind of also speak to the fact to assess us on how far we can go for our wife. It does not necessarily, to me, at that point, it doesn't necessarily mean dying for her to live, but how far can you go for her?
Exactly.
How,
Actually, the
to
question
what
was, can you?
length?
Yes, the question was, can you die for your wife? The guy even gave the example. It was like, if two of us were, let's say him and his wife were running, and she fell down, that he was going to run and run for his life. I was like, Habba now. Yeah, I was like, he was going to take off. He doesn't know about this one.
Yeah, I think it's a very good way to continuously assess ourselves on even as the head of the home, how far are you ready to go for your family? Because like you said, the family is just the smallest unit where you can achieve all these qualities, and when you have all these qualities, it's just a skill that is transferable. So when you have it at this level, it's easy for you to exhibit when you are called upon to govern
Yes.
a society, a community, or even a nation at large. So thank you very much. I've really learned a lot. I've really learned a
Thank you
lot
very
during this
much.
session, and I
Thank you for
have a
having me.
lot of take home points. So at this point in time, before I call Professor Dansu, I just want to open the floor for us. If you've learned any anything, your take home, just short take home for anyone. If you learned anything or something you picked up while Emmanuel was talking, just quickly unmute yourself and say it. I will, sorry, just for orderliness, I'm going to start calling names of people that are still here. What were you able to pick while Emmanuel was talking, or some of the things you saw on the slide that really stuck with you during the session? So I'm going to start with Moses Dagbenyon. Moses Dagbenyon, what was that thing like that came up like an aha in the aha moment when Emmanuel was talking, or something you saw on the slide that was like, okay, that light the bulb. So, Moses Dagbenyon. So while Moses Dagbenyon is still trying to get ready, Adekunle Adeosun, Adeosun, can you just give us just what you think, some of the things that stuck with you, or some of the things that you're taking home with you today? I have a lot of them because I was busy writing. Okay, Moses Dagbenyon. Hello, Moses Dagbenyon, are you there?
I can't speak.
Okay, so yeah, let's go to Adekunle Adeosun. I just want to be sure that we're listening, because I had so many things. It talks about difficult to change human mindsets. And I think that's also an important thing. That's what we have with some of our leaders today, even as individuals. Like the instance I made about my friend, it's very hard to even change his mind. It's like, no, I can't eat a second day food. I like, you can't eat a second day food in this modernized world.
I'm surprised there are still men like this. Seriously.
In fact, this is a very close.
I'm surprised though. Seriously.
Close friend. I see, even as I am, I still hit my hamala even if it's second day. I just look for a way to make sure
one
that
is 2 weeks, one is 1 week.
I just mold it with
There
hot
is
water
24
and do
hours
my
light.
thing. And
There
my
is
wife will
24 hours light, for heaven's sake.
I'm like, my wife
It's
will like,
light.
this amala is like 2 days. I'm like, but it's not spoiled yet. Or I see someone that say you can't even eat rice, a second day rice. I'm like, it is, it is well. So
Those are our ancestors that have come back.
They need to be kings of their community.
Exactly.
Lion of the tribe of their family.
Seriously.
Ayodeji, do you wanna share some of the things that stuck with you today because of the session today?
Okay, thank you, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Thank you very much for the presentation. So it's very powerful. what I just learned, like a very key thing I could see is because my network was not that good, is the
Yeah.
fact that like you have to lead by example as a servant leader. So that's
Yeah.
what I was able to say. Thank you.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Thank you. Israel Iniolua.
I don't have none now.
Sorry?
Hello.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to say right now.
That means you soak so much that you can't even start
It's
comprehending.
overwhelmed.
Yeah, overwhelmed.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
So
sir.
I also part of the thing I also took is that you don't have to be comfortable in your comfortable zone, and I think that also has held so many people back. I remember while I was trying to come to Canada, and my mentor here, Professor Dansu, encouraged me about some of the applications. I only submitted a couple of applications, and most of the application for my master's degree was rejecting. So I remember talking to him some days ago, and I didn't that during that period. And he asked me that how many applications have I submitted? And I was like, I've submitted maybe about 30 something. He laughs. He like, you only got 30 something no's and you're trying to give up. And he said that he didn't know how many applications he has submitted. That he has even lost count at that point in time, that he has submitted over 100 applications. So immediately I was like, you've not even done half of what this young man has said. And he's someone that even doing my undergraduate days, is someone that I very much look up to. I pick up some of the qualities he had, just to make myself better. And I remember sometimes ago, I also asked him that, how do you, because he's someone that is into so many things in school. He's into church
Yeah,
activity,
he's into
fellowship.
so many
Yeah.
things. I don't know.
And
I don't know how you keep up.
he juggled all these things is
I don't know how
and
you
he
keep
juggled
up with
everything
all of
together.
them.
So I kind of
Device
asked him,
is.
Oh,
that, how do you,
that's this.
yeah, that even with this, how do you still get to maintain your first class at
No.
that level? So what he told me was, which something I still practice till date. He said I should take any topic, what I know, try and teach it to someone.
Yeah.
That has helped him. That has really helped him. And at that point in time, I was someone that is, I like my privacy. I don't like talking too much. So I developed that confidence that, okay, I'm going to try. So I gather some friends of mine, and I kind of, do you want to know this? At a point in time, first, like, it felt awkward to me, trying to, like, as if I'm looking for favor, but I knew I had to do it. If it had worked for him, it's definitely going to work for me too. So I started doing it, and I started solving past questions, sharing it with colleagues, and I have the likes of my friends then, Pelimo, Olamide, Azizat. So at some point in time, during exam, they come to my house, we treat past questions again. And I tell you today, it has really helped me, because at that point in time, I was on the brink of trying to make sure that I get into a strong 2-1, at least to secure the security. I wasn't running after anyone. So it helped me, it really helped me. And up to date, I still do that. I still teach people, and even if there's any little thing that I know, and for me to be able to master it, I try to teach it to as many people as possible. So those are part of the leadership skills that you can learn from individuals. And it's not only the individual that I've learned from. I have colleagues also whose idea is they write up the grades they want to have at the beginning of the semester. They write it on the board and they look at it every day. I'm like, how does that work? Like, yeah, that's how we're doing it. And you also had the first class. That like, okay, if it works for you too, I think it could work for me too. So at the beginning of the class, I also write, at the beginning of the session, I also write the grade, okay, I want to have A+. Even though when I look at some of those courses, I'm like, this one is proven. This one is proven here. I don't think, but I still go ahead and write the A there. So at the end of the semester, even during the course of the semester, I regularly check that. and I look at when I've done my maybe test 1 or test 2, and I see that the grade is like, I'm not sure this thing is going to hit this thing now. So it kind of gives me a check and balance.
Right.
Like, okay, you wrote A, you've already done 2 tests, and your grade is already at C. So how do you get to that point A? So I figured out at that point in time, if I still want to get that A, I need to make sure I answer all the questions in exam. So it gives me like a check and balance to see the goals I've set for myself, where I am, what I need to do to get to that point. So those are some of the skills that you can pick from people around you, friends, colleagues, mentors, that help you to even be a good version of yourself. Because without being a good version of yourself, there's no way you can lead people. So with that said, I don't want to talk much. I'm going to hand over the floor to Professor Danson now for the closing remark and any other thing. So while he does that, please let's turn our camera on so we can have a picture after he does the closing remark.
Yeah.
So the floor to you.
Thank you so much. I'm grateful. Thank you for the moderation, Gbenga. Thank you for the speech, Emmanuel, my namesake. I feel so blessed to meet men like you. I don't gist your wife here. Say, I waiting. Now leadership, we don't hear my wife like 50 times. Say, I mean, it's such a blessing to be married to a great woman and to be a great man yourself, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a great man to be married to a great woman, and that's the thing. Then I really like the fact that at some point it was sounding like a relationship seminar, right? But
yeah, at some point,
if you drill down to the core, right? If you're at home, whatever you do elsewhere is rubbish. That's the fact.
Yeah.
That's
if you are feeling at home, yeah.
And that's a very solid point. I mean, thankfully, we have many people who are maybe just newly married, like Ayodeji, people who are just going to get married very soon. So I think knowing this, like, if your wife can say you are a great man, then you have made it in life.
You don't need any other unit of measurement.
Yeah.
So if your wife and children can say you are great, forget it, you are done. So I mean, because it's that thing that you are going to carry outside. So thank you very much for that. For that unconventional approach, and that's how great men do it. Like you bring something from where nobody is expecting. So and that thing I remember the whole idea of temperament came up. I remember I once wrote one of the leadership articles. Maybe it is part of the series 1 of Wisdom for Young Men. So I wrote something about of temperamental and tempered leaders. Temperamental is just like you said, it's the animal instinct. Okay, naturally, for someone like me, I like to argue. If you don't bring your logic, I don't care. I was this brash person. Like, if you got 99 over 100 when I was in secondary school, I'll just cut you down straight. Like, what's wrong? What happened to the 1 mark? But when I wrote JAM 5 times and I did not get admitted, that really calmed me down. So that made me a tempered person. So we all have temperament. That's your natural animal instinct. But then by intention, by life experiences, by failures and everything, we all need to become tempered leaders. And finally, that takes me to the idea of perfection, right? Just like you rightly said, there's nothing like perfection. But one thing is this: you can behave in a way, and people will look at you like you're perfect because
you're perfect. Yeah,
improving, just like you said, you're constantly getting better, and that's so interesting because the next virtual meetup is going to be about cultivating the culture of excellence. I've already noted the next speaker. I hope he has time. Is in Japan too interesting, but I hope he really has time to be here that time. Like, he's such an excellent person that I feel is going to do justice to that. So, and basically, cultivating the culture of excellence is all about getting better each time. Like, because my idea is, if I do this now, what can I do next time to make it better? So if you can be committed to that, you look like a perfect person, whereas nobody's really perfect. We just keep getting better.
Yeah, just keep on evolving. Yeah,
exactly. So that's just basically it. So on that note, it's such a blessing having everybody. Thank you so much once again. See you again next time. Of course, the conversation continues. Happily, this is going to be on YouTube, and it is going to be there for a lifetime. So you should I mean, we should be grateful to you for contributing to posterity. Maybe 1,000 years down the line, somebody in your lineage, if the world still exists, know that, oh, see my ancestors. I mean, they contributed a lot to the, I mean, to development in society, which RBF is all about. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you for the platform. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Always my pleasure. I'm particularly grateful that I am meeting people like you, people like Gbenga, people like Emmanuel, people like everybody. And of course, I hope that one day every young man in RBF become like you, and of course that you are committed to constantly getting better. And that's exactly what we're about.
I hope RBF turns into a global family where if you come to Japan, I have somebody here, go and stay there, spend the night. Go to France, we have somebody in France. I pray it becomes that, seriously.
Yeah, we're really going there because
we need that network.
Yes.
We need that network where if you're doing a project in Nigeria, I have a trusted hand in Nigeria.
Exactly.
Go to this person. You don't have to struggle. I really hope it transforms into that. Seriously.
Interestingly, after this first year, right? I mean, just like we know, like after this first year, this first year is like we're just learning, testing the water. So after this first year, all I always want is start something, create a system around it. Even when I'm not there, it keeps moving, and that's like the ultimate thing. That so it's not about building an empire or sitting over people or doing whatever. No, it's just an intentional thing to make every man know that there's so much to them beyond all the noise around or oppressing people with what they have achieved or something. It's just about achieve high things, but don't let it get into your head, and
it's true.
Bless others coming and just make the whole place, Thank you so much for buying into our vision. And by God's grace, as you have said it, God has heard it and is going to make
it will happen.
Definitely.
It will happen. I'm here for it.
Yeah. So, I mean, having on board, we automatically have Canada on a lockdown. So
yeah, we have Canada. Canada is locked down.
Exactly. So, and the US still locked down everywhere. I mean,
US is over.
Definitely. So, I mean, thank you. Feels like thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right. See you next time. Okay. I mean, we'll continue.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Yeah, please, can you put on your camera just like GB told us the other time? Let's see if you can take it. Put on your camera. Yeah, this guy just married. See as he fresh. All right. So who is taking the shots? Is Gbenga doing that?
I think you can do that. I don't think I can have.
Israel, you should face your window. Like the light is coming from there, so you should face the light.
Yeah. So
you can have a better picture of you. Yeah, you should face where the light is coming from. Yeah. How do we do this again? Do I still remember? Okay, I think I do. Yes. Okay. Yeah, full screen, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Let me take one more. Okay. Yes, thank you so much for being part of this. Very grateful to have you on board. See you in the group as we continue our deals. Thank you. See you later.
Everyone.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Adekunle, adios. Thank you.
Yes, boss.
Thank you. Moses Davion, thank you.
Welcome, sir.
New groom, thank you, everybody. God bless you.
All right, goodbye.